recording here. Give me 1 second, Toya and Liz, and then I'll do a quick introduction. Alrighty, so good afternoon. This is Thursday, December 10th, 2020, and with me is
Heather Cox
and David Perlman from the Modern Workplace team in Microsoft. Today we're fortunate to have with us Liz Cutrona, so I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, who's the Chief Strategy Officer at Detroit Community Public Schools, and Toya Smith, who is the Senior Director of Knowledge Management, right? So I'm going to turn it over to you and really look forward to hearing from you for the next 25 minutes or so. We'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. So thank you so much for joining our little menagerie here, and hopefully it's been entertaining so far for you. So with that note, I'll turn it over to you folks.
Thanks. We're really excited to be here and to join this raucous party that you have going on here in office hours. I am Liz Cutrona, as you mentioned. I am the Chief Strategy Officer for the school district. Really, the star of this show, though, is Toya Smith, who's going to walk through the work that she has been leading to share knowledge within our school district. So just a little bit of context about Detroit Public Schools Community District, who we are in the journey that we've been on. So in 2017, Detroit Public Schools Community District was formed as a new entity coming out of about a decade of state emergency management and a lot of real struggle in terms of a public school system within a city. And at that time, the newly elected locally controlled school board appointed Nikolai Vidi as the superintendent. And since then, we have been on a transformation journey that was grounded in a theory of action that focuses on rebuilding the trust of our constituents, moving from trust into, tangible proof that improvement is possible, that we are going to be on a new path, and starting to realize the outcomes that we know our families deserve, that our students deserve. And a big missing piece that we had at that time was how we were going to activate people and bring people into what the transformation journey would look like. And that really is where our knowledge management team comes in, and Toya's leadership in particular takes place. So we knew that there was great work happening in the field. We knew that we also wanted to communicate really clearly. And as we started to codify practices that had been, dismantled or never written down or anything else during, years of emergency management, where was that going to go? How are we going to get the word out, and how are we going to build community internally? And so we brought on Toya to lead a knowledge management team with the specific focus of cultivating and codifying our internal knowledge. So our 50,000 students and our 7,000 employees, had access to the information that they needed. So I'm going to turn it over to Toya for the rest of this time, because this is, her incredible work with her team.
Thanks so much, Liz. You all see my screen?
Yep.
Not yet.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh,
Already?
And the objectives, is that what you're looking at?
Yep.
Yep, that's it.
Okay. So we have really just two objectives today. We want for you all to understand the what and why of knowledge management in our district, and to understand more of like how what we're sharing is having an impact on the district. So in knowledge management, our main goal is to really open doors for our staff. As a team, we hope to inspire people. We hope to inspire collaboration by sharing the information that really promotes that desired organizational culture that Liz was just talking about. We do this through features that connect our staff to the ways we're meeting the priorities of our strategic plan. We help people to communicate what others, need to know, whether it be updates, deadlines, processes. But our purpose really speaks to helping our people codify their knowledge so that information is preserved and readily available as the district continues to grow its talent. One of the things I always use to kind of connect, help people connect with that is like imagining yourself walking into a new job without like a real roadmap. Our work is very focused on helping people to have what they need as soon as they walk in the door. We're aiding that work by supporting the adoption of teams, whether they're established as staff, teams, school teams, project groups, and really just challenging people to think differently around the ways that they preserve work outside of, like memos shared by email. And lastly, we want our staff to see really clear connections to how work moves across different departments. And in that way, we see the hub as the catalyst for opening that door. And our hope is that it serves as that door opener for our talent to really just be able to do their best work. So about a year and a half ago, I'll talk a bit, about trans and about change management as well. But about a year and a half ago, this is what our hub looks like. Our staff had this collection of quick link buttons to get to basically what they needed in terms of information across the district. This is what it looks like now. Second.
So this is always the part as you're finding it, Toya. I think you're still sharing out your slide, perhaps.
Yeah, I was trying to move to another one, but my share button has disappeared.
It did. Oh. You can try sharing your desktop.
Here we go.
There it is. Tour the homepage. There we go. You can see it great.
Yeah, that's much better because before the before and after looked exactly the same. I was hoping it was different.
So you all are seeing the hub?
We are.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, we are.
Okay, great. So for us, the hub, as I was saying, we really want it to be a way that we open doors for our staff. In terms of what's on our homepage, we really use this as kind of a one-stop shop for staff to be able to access information that's going to be most relevant to them. We use the hero space up top to spotlight staff who are doing the work that stands out, as well as for important reminders and just kind of district-wide calls to action. Down the left rail here, people can see news from the sites that they follow. So you'll get a good sense spaces that I am a part of. These might be individual staff teams, hub sites, as well as other staff teams. I'm on a lot of people's teams. Down the right side, we have a list of our district's most important happenings. It keeps staff in the know about everything from upcoming board meetings to testing assessments, as well as school breaks. I talked a bit about what the hub looked like before we launched this reimagined version. As we met with staff before our rollout, one of the things that we found was that people were really married to those buttons that I showed you before. And just in terms of talking through what change management looks like, when we launched the hub, this space kind of mimicked that, the colors were the same, but to give you an indication of how quickly things are changing, you can see that, everything's kind of coming into the regular SharePoint blue theme. So as we add new things here and swap things out, the colors tend to move away. In terms of talking through, just some of our navigation, I'm going to click in here to give you a sense of what we started with. So when we launched the hub in August of 2019, this is what we were using to connect our staff to the spaces that would connect them to, what they needed to do their work, to different departments and things of that sort. After a while, though, more people started to recognize that they wanted to share their work more intentionally. And so they started building out subsites of a sort. And so you can see here, human resources, they've got new employee onboarding under our Office of Strategy, some of the departments that lead this specific work across our district. Under our departments, we're really just connecting people to where work happens in the district. So if I were to go here to the Knowledge Management Department, you'll find that there's a connection still to the Office of Strategy. But as I'm explaining to you all what we do, our staff has the same indicators there of the work that's going on, as well as here, the work streams that we lead across the district. So we also oversee the district's website, adoption of teams for schools and staff, and then in terms of the hub, just SharePoint publishing and content management. Up here, we also kept those quick links that people were really married to, so just giving them really easy access to the district systems that help push their work. So for principals, if they need to send out mass notifications, texts, and things like that, just connecting people to things, other systems that drive the work that they need to get done. This is the newest iteration of our improvement for the hub. We started building out a knowledge base to really connect staff to the information they need. So if I am a ESE teacher or maybe a school social worker, I can come to this landing page that kind of aggregates topics up around educating students with IEPs. I should be clear too that in Detroit, exceptional student education is what we once called like special education. But in terms of clicking in, I would have these topics here, very clear knowledge articles for people to understand all the parts of what it means for the process of evaluation and eligibility to work. And when I'm clicking into that space, I'm continuing to see the thing that it's connected to, whatever the topic is, as well as those related articles. And then here I have those related topics that came from the landing zone of which I started. I talked a bit before about the inspiration piece. And I want to take you into this piece here on a teacher that we recently highlighted. So back in early November, our superintendent, as a part of a keynote, spotlighted a few of our teachers and support staff in the district. And we followed up that presentation with, just connecting with these teachers around how they were making things work. And you can see here, this piece was written by Hannah Bloom, who works as my partner on the hub and in the knowledge management group. But, we ran this story kind of just like a list of tips about how this teacher was really working to help our students and help her families connect and, feel comfortable with the online learning process. And from that, we got a lot of really great tips about the ways in which she was moving that work. Because of this, I'll scroll down here so you can see, Miss Pierce found herself just, really at the forefront of a lot of conversation with a lot of new teachers from other schools, people who really wanted to just reach out and connect with her around, just the tips that she was sharing with us. You can see here it, got a good amount of views, a bit over 2,000 there. And, we are seeing, on stories that we feature, maybe you get about 10 to 15 people commenting. But this was something that really resonated with staff, and just started, a lot of conversation around how we are facilitating live instruction in an online environment, as well as just, what the very intentional things are that we could do to be, supporting our students and families. And I want to switch back for a second here to the presentation.
So I was just wondering, Toya, I had a quick question. This is Dave. So what's been the feedback from the parents? I saw, kind of the great story from, the teacher there. Have they really embraced the new, it's an external facing as well as internal facing tool. What's the feedback been from kind of the end user community?
Nope. So this is entirely internal. We oversee our websites, of which, we share a lot of information there. We have like everyday heroes around the district that our communications office shares information on. But this story was started because a parent reached out to the superintendent about the work that Ms. Pierce was doing.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And how many teachers and instructors do you service within your district?
I think we have about 4,000 teachers.
So pretty big district.
Yep. So I just want to click in. I want you all to get a look at this reflection that Ms. Pierce shared with the superintendent after the hub feature. I spoke with her this morning. I wanted to, just really take a minute to get her approval to, share, because I knew that this would be going up on YouTube. And I was just really blown away by how excited she was about the attention, about the questions she was getting, to the point that she was sharing with me that, she had followed up with some of the teachers who had reached out to her, and that they had an opportunity to have a meeting last Friday where they ended up spending 3 hours collaborating on, how to improve online learning for their students. And so, I just wanted to really, help you all make the connection with what we're sharing and the impact that it's actually having on the district.
Latoya, can I ask a question? Is that right? So you're responsible for Teams adoption. You have the hub here. I saw people are commenting on things, which is awesome. They're engaging with the content. And you have a Teams meeting. How successful have you been to kind of mesh those together? The people using Teams for collaboration and coordinating that with a hub.
Yeah, so I can actually show you. We've got a few minutes left here. I'll show.
I don't mean to take you off path. If you have some other things you want to do, don't you don't have to do that.
No, that's I just really wanted to make that last connection in terms of Teams and how we're connecting the work that's going on there with using the hub. I can show you a really good exemplar here. Let's see.
Yeah, because at our university, we find that a lot of departments want to have that intranet, that portal for the department, and they want it to be intranet based, with a few number of contributors, but a lot of people, it's communicating things. But then they also want the teams, and I kind of struggle with how do you put those two together?
Yep. So can you all see the team here?
Mm-hmm. You can.
So Jerry L. White Center is one of our exceptional student education center-based programs. And we worked with their principal to, help her adopt teams in terms of like working within, just one space for her staff. She was managing probably about 20 different groups before the school year started. And so in the early fall, we started working with her towards setting this up. And one of the things that she has been able to do, just like using tabs, has been to make the information that's coming from the hub, just to connect her staff directly to it. So
Nice.
here she's added their ESE hub site, and they're just getting the news directly from those spaces.
That makes sense.
Yep, other things are for staff evaluations, she's added the evaluation site. And they're able to get that information easily.
So if you're going to be doing this a lot, and again, I think Heather kind of highlighted this, you can actually take the hub and add that as a pinned application on your left-hand side on that left rail in Teams, if you so desire. Not that we're trying to design your content because it looks awesome.
Thank you.
Where were you, Perlman, 6 months ago when we were doing all the hard work? Darn Microsoft
Thank you so
people.
much.
You bet.
Thank you, Latoya.
Yeah, we just, I guess if folks have questions.
Oh, do we have questions? So by right of being one of the hosts, I have lots of questions. So I certainly don't want to take anything away from the community because I'm sure they're going to have some good ones. But how did you get started on this? I mean, obviously, you have a fairly large district. I'm sure you're faced with all the budget cuts and all the other things that are going on. How did whether it was yourself, Toya, or Liz, how did you kind of decide that this was a priority and then get support from your administration? And then how did you go through from a design process to kind of land on that final format? I guess that was 3 questions. Sorry, pick any of them.
Toya, why don't I start with the why we invested in this to begin, and then you can talk about the development of the hub itself. So, as a cabinet level team, we come together regularly to think about, where are we now against our overall theory of action and what do we need to do differently? And one of the things that we did is generated a list of operational excellence projects that were standing as barriers to our overall transformation. And one of the areas of operational excellence that we named that was missing for us or was a barrier was keeping our staff informed and connected to the reforms underway and what it was going to take, to get them plugged in with relevant, engaging content, and also a place to share the process improvements that we were working so hard to make, because we were living in sort of a wild, wild west environment of, getting things done. And so as we really said, no, these are the procedures, these are the standards, these are the admin guidelines, we had nowhere to put it. So, from a budgetary perspective, it was an easy match because we were all in consensus about, we have to have a place to inspire people, plug people in, and share the work that we're doing. And so then it was about finding the right person to lead the way, on it. And that is really, we feel so thankful, to have found Toya to lead the overall process and to move from a very rudimentary, big quick link, custom developed quick links and, document library to what you just saw. So Toya, you want to talk a little bit about the design arc?
Yep. So when I started, Liz had a working prototype for, what this should look like. And as with all things, we realized very quickly, I think we had about 6 weeks to launch when I started. We just realized, and it was going to launch for the beginning of last school year. So we quickly realized, that probably what we wanted was not going to be possible in 6 weeks, but just kind of pivoted to say what is it that we can put out there? And so it was well, we can connect people to the departments, in the district, and even better if we can have those departments provide the information around what their priorities are for this year, the work that they're, looking to do, and, to have them start sharing, with us or having us be able to interview about the initiatives and things like that they had going on. The other thing that we had right in front of us was this tremendous growth across the district. Liz could speak more to it, but, in terms of like where we wanted our students to be, they were exceeding that, even in some cases beating out, what the state's expectations were. And so we just started looking at, data and what sorts of teachers were, really driving that work, whose, students were, improving their reading, their math at, like the quickest paces. And so that was more of like where the ideas for like starting to spotlight the people. And then a lot of times I'm like, thank God we had the hub because the pandemic hit. And it was like, well, now we can, keep people up with all of the information they need from the superintendent's office around what our safety procedures are going to be, what the expectations are for, working from home and,
Sure.
just things like that. And so we were glad to, have a really solid space by then where we could share that information.
Thank you, Toya. I think Ms. Cox has a question.
I do. Well, I have a question and a comment. I think there's a really good one that I think we'll get to that's in the chat. But the one thing I wanted to really say to you guys about that spotlight feature, having been a former educator, and I know that many of the folks on the call probably are as well or currently, is that it's so beautiful to spotlight internal employees and really build them up, especially in this current climate and what everybody is going through, and how amazing that, that last slide you have where she gave you the feedback on the response that she had gotten. It's just so incredible to build that internal capacity and to celebrate the work that's being done. That all that time everybody knows teachers don't become teachers for money ever, and so they get those rewards in that response from the community. So the fact that you guys chose to make a decision like that and really highlight that, I just think speaks so highly of the way that you value your community and your teachers, and I think that's beautiful. But I think this is a really interesting question that somebody put in here, and I think it's especially as they were dealing with, you said that this came at a good time for you with like everything was changing and the pandemic and all this stuff, but how was that experience? You moved information and users to this new site. You moved their cheese when things were already being moved. So how did that go for you, and what was that experience?
Yeah, we put up a countdown to let people know there was a big change coming. But we did a little bit of focus grouping before we launched to, just really check in to see what those things were that people were not going to be happy about, having moved. And people are really busy. And so in the beginning, I think that we didn't have as many people, coming like directly into the hub. Our teachers can come here to get all of the information that they need around like using their curriculum. But, in a lot of ways, people had those things bookmarked. And so I can't say that they were coming right to the front page. But as we, transitioned and had to start sharing information about training for teams and, things like that, building out an online learning hub, for people to be able to keep coming back to, it started to see a lot more usage. And then probably about 6 months in, we just did some focus grouping to say, what do you and don't you like about it? And even at that point, we found that we didn't have as many people using it as we would have liked, but we really were able to kind of just hear them on the fact that, things were hard to find, or,
Sure.
The specific types of information they were looking for. And a lot of that led the build for, the knowledge base.
That's great.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you for sharing.
I would also add, not to underestimate what Toya mentioned during her tour about the visual continuity of those quick links down at the bottom of the hub. Upon initial launch, really having even the colors match at that to give people a sense of sameness, and do the transition. And I just think that also, help people take a step. No matter what, you can always now is just scroll to the bottom and you see the old quick links that you're used to. Yeah.
You know, I think if we followed that same pattern, sometimes on some of the internal Microsoft sites, Heather and I would be much happier, but I'm not allowed to say that. So here's, we have another question from one of our favorite human beings who happens to be a Microsoft employee, Mark Dunkel, I think, who you folks both know. Mark, do you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Sure. So I have both a question and a comment. I think Toya knows she's going to blush because she knows where I'm going with this. But so I've probably worked, I've covered SharePoint for many, many years nationwide. I probably was in many of the accounts that are on this call talking about SharePoint at some point in the past. So I am very passionate about this particular product. So, you know, Toya showed you some of what this hub is. This hub is even far more extensive than even what she showed. And one of the questions that always comes up when I talk to a school district or university is, you know, how many people did it take to create all this wonderful content? And keep in mind, because this is on SharePoint Online, it also has a terrific mobile experience as well. So, Toya, I think you just did a fabulous job, but I wanted you to talk a little bit about the primary people that created the content. And the fact is, if you think about a district, if you think about all these faculty and staff that are across so many different schools across the district, the fact that they have a sense of they can rely on a hub to go to get consistent information is incredibly impactful when you're used to just working in maybe your own school somewhere in the district. Now everyone has a consistent place to go. And from an efficiency and an operation standpoint, it's just huge. But Toya, can you please kind of comment on how many primary people were to create this? Because a lot of people look at this and say, well, if we only had enough resources, right? Can you talk about that?
So we are what Liz calls small but mighty. There are two of us who run the hub. You know, we help drive the content creation for it by having a lot of conversations with departmental leads around what needs to get shared, you know, what deadlines are approaching, you know, what would they like promoted out front. But there are two of us. The knowledge management team is a team of 4. We have one web content manager who handles DetroitK12.org, an instructional designer, another web content manager for supporting the hub, and myself. So there's 2 of us. And I'm pretty sure Hannah's here. You know, I couldn't do this without her, and we couldn't do this without Liz just constantly pushing, you know, for the improvement. So,
well,
amazing.
Toya, you, Liz, Hannah, and the rest of the leadership team, you guys are truly inspiring. It's a blessing to work with you guys. And you guys are doing a phenomenal job. So I look forward to even greater things in the future. So thank you so much for agreeing to present to everyone. But I just wanted to say that I know Heather and Dave will talk about that, but thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Awesome. Thank you. So I have about 5:03. It looks like we have Robert Schmidt. We still have one outstanding question on governance, or was that more of a statement? I don't know.
Oh, sorry. It was just a joke because Mark wrote the first SharePoint governance paper, white paper.
He did. I'm like, if we can, I'm sure Toya could do it, but you know, I can't talk about governance in anything less than about 3 hours, although I'd be happy to have a governance conversation. But you know, thank you very much, Liz and Hannah and Toya. Really appreciate you folks kind of coming out and showing us what you're doing. Love to hear, you know, as we maybe come out of some of these challenging times that we have, maybe next year in the spring. Love to see kind of what this looks like in another 6 months, and have you come back and you know, bring a teacher along and tell them how it's impacted their life, you know. But really appreciate you working with us and presenting you know, all the great work that you're doing. Really inspirational.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Excellent. All right, on that note, this has been another Microsoft Office Hours. Heather, you want to take us out? Are we going to do some more singing, or are you done?
No, I'll drop the link. You can watch at your leisure. But thank you guys, everybody. I loved this session. I plan on sharing this with many of my customers because I'm sure they could use a little bit more organization in their lives as well. So.
All righty. Well, thanks, everybody.